Hey guys, and welcome back. Guess what today is? It's egg day. It's why did our eggs not hatch day. So I've got a nice clean white plate in front of us so that when we crack these open we can actually look at them. Now I will probably make some assumptions about what stage they were in, at least in the week, and then in the bottom portion of the screen I'll make sure that based off of this diagram right here that we kind of make an estimate as to where it was in the development. So we're gonna start out with no Vicks Vapor Rub under our nose so that we can get the full effect of what these are gonna smell. Oh my gosh, it jostled when I shook that. These are basically like bombs. So the hatching happened over a week ago and these have been sitting in the house. So we've been playing a little rotten egg roulette. So we're gonna use this putty knife to crack these bad boys open. Hopefully they don't explode all over us, in which case this will be a very short and comical video that Joe's agreed to be with me with. Or stay here, here. Please?
I was forced to
please. Thank you. Okay.
I kissed as
all right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got all these eggs. So some of these look like they didn't develop at all, and some of them look like they had things in them, so this could get really gross really fast. So you ready?
It explodes. Let's go. Oh, it looks like just yolky. Ew. Ew.
Oh, there's a little thing in it. Oh, look.
This is tricky.
The turkey's over there trying to...
Ew.
So I'm gonna put this... I've got a little pail.
What is that?
It smells so bad.
Good thing I got a stuffy nose.
Yeah, she's got a stuffy nose.
June's over here on the camera.
Okay, guys, hold on. So you guys can see there's actually like a little tiny little thing in there. So Joe decided this was just too much for her. Again. So it looks like these guys started to develop and then for some reason or another they stopped. Next one. Oh, it splattered on me. And with this one, there's really nothing that I can see. It's like egg number 4. This one is another one. So you can see that little figure like just right here. It looks like that would have been something. So I feel like these guys that stopped developing kind of all stopped developing around the same point. Huh. Oh my god, this is so gross. Oh, that one's got, it's like making... Oh my god. This one doesn't look like it was fertilized. There's really nothing in there to make me think that there was ever a chick in there. Okay, so far we've had a couple that had very small little baby chicks in it that just, you kind of could tell there was a body there was a form, but it just stopped. And then we have some that you can tell like they probably were not fertilized, or if they were, then perhaps maybe the shipping affected if they were going to develop at all. And that's one of the reasons too why some of these eggs may not have hatched. We got these shipped to us, but we'll go over that later. On to the next bit of grossness. This one's not, I don't know. There's gonna be 1 or 2 in here that are gonna be interesting. I can feel it. Nothing in this one, guys. Absolutely nothing in that one. I don't know if you guys can... There's nothing in there at all. Just just a really old egg. Really, really old. So far it's telling me something in my incubation at some point. Oh no, I got it on my pants.
I got the strength.
Okay.
To finally walk in. Easy.
Nothing. There does look like there's like the fertilization dots, which looks a lot like this if you're cracking open any of the eggs that you may have farm fresh but are eating before they get to develop. It looks a lot like this, and I'm kind of seeing the same thing here. You can see that right there. This right here, all these white dots in there. Okay. We only got 4 more left. Man, and the one that I thought was pretty developed wasn't that developed. This really is enough to gag a maggot, but I haven't needed the Vicks Vapor Rub yet. I've only gotten a little grossed out. Only tried to... This one either. You can see there's just nothing in there, it's just yolk. Over the deck. Oh no. Oh, I was afraid to see this, but it's a good learning. It's good for learning.
But, oh, had a baby in it.
Oh, this makes me so sad. Why didn't you get all the way out, baby?
Probably the progress or breathing or something went wrong.
Something went wrong. I'm never quite sure what can go wrong sometimes.
Hey, no, don't you.
So this one looks like it got almost all the way to pipping. It hasn't absorbed its yolk. Can kind of tell that from here.
Jesus, gunshot.
So right there is its little feet. I'll maybe show you guys. I don't know, how is it positioned? You guys can still, you can tell like it's still got the membrane on it and everything. So there's a protective membrane around them. You can tell this one, there's its little beak. Its little beak is like right there. And it's got a membrane. It's still on there. So you can tell like that's the membrane that is over it. So you guys can tell like this little feller got pretty close, but you can tell like it didn't get to absorb its yolk, so it probably got to like within a day or so of hatching and then for some reason just putzed. So that's kind of sad. I was afraid that we would see something like that, and it's a little upsetting. It's a little upsetting. And then the next one, you guys can tell, just nothing in that one at all. We've only got one more to go. Yep, nothing in there. Okay guys, so that was kind of interesting. So it seems like there was only 3 different stages. Some were clearly fertilized in my opinion, but just never started to develop. Then you had some that looked like they got into a few days, maybe a week's worth of development, maybe more, and just kind of stopped. And then we had that one fully formed chick where all it had to do was absorb that yolk into its body, and for some reason or another it just expired. Either it may have been weak, there may have been something wrong with it, or I don't know. Sometimes, and there are going to be points like that too when you're incubating eggs. And I know I'm certainly no expert, that was my first time, but I really wanted to see where some of these guys stopped in their development, because that might help me later on to figure out at what stages maybe do I need to watch my humidity closer, or at what stages do I need to be a little bit more picky about when I pull those eggs, because I left all those eggs in there. until the day before. They were all in my incubator a day before. I would recommend to you, when you candle all of them, because I will say when I was candling throughout the process, I candled in batches. So I would take 4 or 5 and candle them and put them back in. Whereas I probably should have done every single egg once a week all the way up until hatch. And that would have given me a good idea as to what to expect. Also, I wouldn't be leaving active stink bombs in my incubator. And another reason you don't want to leave those eggs in there that aren't fertilized and are probably now in the process of spoiling, if they do bust in your incubator, the bacteria that's grown inside that egg is now exposed to the other eggs in the incubator. And you're going to have to clean, and it really can lower the hatch rate depending on what kind of bacteria is in there and if those eggs are susceptible, especially if they've been like washed or anything before they were put in the incubator. So I think in order to really understand some of the reasons that I'm going to give you why I think my specific eggs didn't hatch, I'm going to have to rewind it a little bit for some of you that might be new to our channel. So a lot of these eggs were part of an egg swap. We got together with Old Redding Farm with John and Kat, fantastic YouTubers. If you haven't checked them out, I really think you'll like what you find over there. But we did an egg swap. And of course right now, the United States Postal Service is not all that good about getting their packages where they need to be and on time. So these were mailed through the mail, and they took a little bit longer to get to me, not to mention we decided to do this swap in a very cold point in the year. The week we actually got our eggs, it was below 0 several times throughout that week. So that could affect the hatch rate. These eggs could have been jostled or mishandled during the shipping process. They could have gotten too cold. They might not have been fertile. That's always a possibility too. And the reason I'm going to say sometimes they can be infertile is with this specific hatch, we are hatching in March. Our chickens started laying about 21 to 28 days ago. So the eggs that we chose to incubate, especially on our side, were some of the first hatches of the year. And it's my understanding that you probably shouldn't use the eggs that are first laid in the first part of the laying season. Odds are at the very beginning of your laying season, your hens have just started laying again, which means their courtship and mating habits have just started again as well. So if you're going to be incubating eggs, it's best to wait until your hens or whoever you're getting them from, their hens have been laying for about 2 to 3 weeks already. Just because then their reproductive systems are awake, they know what they're supposed to be doing, and they're well-oiled machines. So that could have been a reason as well. Not to mention that humidity can play a really big part in our incubators. So throughout this process, I kept our humidity in our incubator from 50 to 55%. Now there were some times where I would walk by and it would have dropped and I would have to add more water. I don't know how long it stayed like that. We try to be as attentive as possible, but we have full-time jobs. Sometimes we just can't sit there and hover over the humidity. So that could have been a contributing factor. And I feel like that might actually have been a factor for some of those that were just like a week or so along, where there was just a little bitty embryo in there and you could kind of see a little baby chicken and it just looks like they just stalled out. So I would probably write that off to humidity, or perhaps I may have opened up the incubator and let the temperature drop while I'm candling eggs. And this next reason can be a little bit dependent on whether you're using an automatic egg turner or if you're turning your eggs by hand in your incubator. I have an automatic egg turner, but if you're hand turning and you forget to turn or you turn too much, sometimes that can affect your hatch rate as well. So it's something to really pay attention. And how many times and how long you turn eggs before they go on to lockdown can vary from species. So what you would do for a chicken, you probably wouldn't do for a duck or a goose. How often you're opening your incubator while chicks are hatching can also affect your hatch rate. So maybe that might have been what happened with that pretty formed chick that just didn't pull in the yolk yet, but I'm really not sure. But those are just some of the top 5 contributing factors as to why your eggs may not have hatched. And sometimes it's none of those. Sometimes the egg just didn't develop right. There might have been something wrong with the egg or with the embryo or chick that's developing inside. You never really quite know, but those are the top 5 things that you should be checking for when it comes to increasing your hatch rate and trying to figure out why your eggs maybe didn't hatch in your incubator. So those are definitely some things that I'll need to be paying attention to on our next batch. And yes, there's going to be a next batch. I've definitely found a new passion and addiction in incubating my own eggs in my Nurture Right 360. So I hope you guys found that helpful and educational, and thank God you didn't have to smell what I smelled. But I'm pretty proud that I got through the whole thing without having to use Vicks Vapor Rub, because I really thought there for a second I was going to toss my cookies. So if you did end up finding this video helpful or educational, or you just liked us cracking open eggs and seeing what was in them, go ahead, think about dropping us a like, leaving us a comment, and subscribing. But if you subscribe, make sure you ring that little notification bell so that you get a notification the next time Mulberry Branch Farm has a new video up that's waiting to bring you along on our adventure here. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you're all staying healthy out there and being kind to one another. Bye! Of waking up again, the... You like that?